Okay, so just a few more questions on solving two-step equations, and that's going to be it for two-step equations for the time being. These are just a bit more awkward questions, and you'll see why, but it's nothing that you can't handle at all. So we'll go through a couple of my turn, your turns, or just these two, and that's going to be it. So it says solve the following equation. So the first one, we want to find the missing variable x. So you want to get x to be equal to something on its own. Now here, again, you've got to think, where did the equation come from? Because it must have come from somewhere. So we began with x here, and we've got negative x plus 3. So actually then, from x to get to the next part, we actually times x by negative 1. So we had x, and then we multiply it by negative 1. Or you could say, yeah, we'll keep it as that for the time being, because then that would get you to your negative x part. We then added on 3. So we then added 3 to get you to minus x plus 3. Okay, if you did it the other way around, and you said you began with x, and if you said you add 3 to begin with, that would get you to x plus 3. And if you said, well, now we times by negative 1, okay, so we now multiply by negative 1, you would times everything here by minus 1. So you'd actually end up with minus x minus 3, which is different to this. This is a bit of a more awkward one. So this one is not the right way to do it. But now, once you really understand, and we've done a lot of practice on this, where this was formed, you just go backwards. So now when you solve this, you untie the knot. What's the opposite of plus 3? You can take away 3. So we can begin by taking away 3 from both sides of the equation to keep it in balance, because of course the balance method is what we're using. So here you're left over with the negative x over here, so minus x being equal to 6 take away 3 is 3. So now we've got negative x is equal to 3. Well, what's the opposite of timesing? Because you've got, this means minus 1 times x. The opposite of timesing by negative 1 is actually to divide by minus 1. So I'm going to go and divide this by negative 1 and divide this by negative 1. And again, you can't see it, but there is a 1 before that negative. And of course, these are going to cancel, because timesing by minus 1 and divided by negative 1, they're opposite, they cancel. So you're left over with just x. So x being equal to 3 divided by negative 1. Well, 3 divided by 1 is 3, but you're dividing by 1 negative, so your solution is negative 3. And this is the kind of question that a lot of students would get a wrong sign for. And we can check it, which is a really important idea to do. So if we go back to the equation, which was minus x plus 3 being equal to 6, if x is equal to negative 3, you've got negative x, and x is minus 3, so minus x plus 3, and this goes to plus 3. So plus 3 is indeed 6. So the answer is definitely x being equal to negative 3. Okay, good. The next question, we've got this 2 plus y divided by 3. So again, you've got to think, how did this begin? Of course, you always begin with your variable y, and usually I would write it y plus 2. Okay, but here they've written it 2 plus y, but it still means the same thing, right? You at y, and they've gone and added on a 2 to give you y plus 2, which is the same thing as writing 2 plus y. Yeah, they mean the same thing. And then they've divided it. They've then gone and divided by 3. Yeah, so now when we go back, we do the opposite. So we begin by timesing by 3, and then timesing by 3. So then these guys here are going to cancel, and you're left up here with 2 plus y. Okay, we can get rid of the brackets, still needs to be there, being equal to, well, if you had 2 times 3, that would be 6. You've got 1 negative, so minus 6. And then from here, we've got 2 plus y equals minus 6. Okay, what's the opposite of adding 2? It is to take away 2. Don't let that confuse you. You could also write this as y plus 2, but let's keep it as the way it is, because we can take away 2, we can take away 2, because then these guys here, these are going to cancel. So you're left with, right, these go, you've got y being equal to negative 6 take away 2. Now, think about this on a number line. Your starting temperature is minus 6. If you take away 2, you're getting colder by 2, so you're going back by 2. Negative 7, negative 8. So y is equal to negative 8. Okay? So this here is your solution. Y is minus 8. Of course, you can check your answer again by putting it back into the equation. Right, you've got 2 plus your y value. Y is negative 8. You are dividing that by 3. And this is why it's really important we understand the hot and cold air stuff for directed numbers, right? We're at 2 degrees. If you add cold air, we're getting colder by 8. So we're going back by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going back to -6. So you've got -6 is the top part divided by 3, which indeed is -2. So it is correct. It gets more awkward when your numbers become negative, and you just got to be really careful with what is going on. Okay, so you can try now these two and just be really careful, and you can refer, of course, to the questions over here to help you out. But you can now try question A, question B, referring to the stuff over here. So first of all, solve the equation below. 9 take away x is equal to 1. Again, you've got to think, how was this formed? Right, we began always with your variable, which is x. We then times it by -1 to give you -x, and then we went and added on a 9. Okay, so we added on a 9. If you thought you began with x and you add on 9, right, that would give you x. So if we add 9, that would give you x plus 9. If you then think, well, you times it by -1, so you times by -1, you would get -x minus 9. It would be a different thing altogether. But to be honest, right, you start to recognize the equation. So we saw over here, right, we began by getting rid of that number. Same thing over here. We've got a positive 9 over here. The opposite of a positive 9 is to take away 9. So we take away 9 on both sides. And then what's going to happen here is that these guys are going to cancel. So you're left over with the -x. -x being equal to 1 take away 9 is equal to -8. So you've got -x being equal to -8. The opposite of timesing by -1 is to divide by -1. So we're going to divide this by -1 and divide this by -1. Sorry, divide by -1. And that's good, because then these guys are going to cancel. Timesing by -1 divided by -1, they cancel. So you're left over with your variable x being equal to -8 divided by 1. What if it was just 8 divided by 1? That would give you 8. And if you divide two negatives, you get a positive anyway. So the answer is just 8. So that is your solution. And if we think about it, if we think about this, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because, well, your equation was, let's do it in green. Your equation was 9 take away something is equal to 1. Well, 9 take away 8 is equal to 1. 8 is your answer. Yeah, so it makes sense. Good. Last question. We've got this. -3 plus c divided by 4 is equal to 1. Again, where do we begin here? Do I get rid of the -3 first, or do I get rid of this 4 first? Well, the way this was formed was we had c. We then divide it by 4 to give you c divided by 4. And then we take away 3 from this. So then we take away 3. It looks a little bit weird because usually we would write c divided by 4, take away 3. I put it in there just to make you think a little bit. This and this mean the same thing. Yeah? So then if we do that, you would get c divided by 4, take away 3, which is what we've got over here. So now going back the opposite way, begin by getting rid of that -3 by adding on 3 to both sides. I add 3 and I add 3. And this is good because then these guys are going to cancel, which is good. So I've got left over c divided by 4. So c divided by 4 being equal to 1 plus 3, which is 4. I then got to do the opposite of dividing by 4, which is to multiply by 4. Both sides, timesing it by 4, timesing this by 4. And then these guys here are going to cancel because they're opposite. You're left over with just c being equal to 4 times 4, which is equal to 16. And this is your solution. 16. Yeah, there we go. Good. And of course, we can always check it by putting it back into the original equation, which is this. -3, add c, which we've just said is 16, divided by 4. Well, 16 divided by 4 is 4, and -3 add 4 means 4 take away 3, which is 1, which is definitely correct. Okay, these ones are a bit more awkward. I can guarantee you, if students don't learn this topic properly, they would be messing this stuff up at this stage. So hopefully, right, with the videos, you can rewind and you can go through things again, and you can really think about what we've been doing in the last few videos. Okay, and any questions, of course, you can comment, but hopefully that was useful. Thank you for watching.